Welcome to the Virginia Civics and Economics Lecture Series. At the end of each slide, there will be a 5-second delay. Use this time to complete your notes. When you are done, push play and move on to the next slide. This presentation will begin in 5 seconds. Welcome to Virginia Civics and Economics Lecture 2.4 on owning a business, and let's talk about my all-time favorite type of restaurant, the delicatessen. You know, a deli. You don't know? That's okay. I'll define it for you. A delicatessen is a store selling cold cuts, cheeses, and a variety of salads, as well as a selection of unusual or foreign prepared foods. So up there is Wilk's Delicatessen, and it was my favorite deli as a kid. When I was in high school, I could leave school to get lunch, and I'd walk the 2 blocks to get the best roast beef sandwich in all of northern New Jersey from Wilk's Delicatessen. But Wilk's is not the only type of deli out there. For example, here's the Carnegie Deli. It's a very famous deli in New York City. And here's the Kosher Nosh Deli. It's a specialty deli that caters to the kosher crowd. And even down here in Virginia, we have the Route 58 Delicatessen. It's a nice place for some New Jersey nostalgia. While all of these delis are different, all of these delis are businesses. But are they set up the same way? And more importantly, does it matter if they're set up differently? Today we're going to answer those 2 questions. And with that said, go to the next slide. In order to have any type of business, you need to have an entrepreneur. That's the person who takes a risk to produce and sell goods and services in search of profit. In other words, this is the person who's going to start your new business. Some entrepreneurs attempt to sell an entirely new good or service, while other entrepreneurs attempt to sell an existing good or service on their own. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Well, it's not as easy as it looks. About a half of all new establishments survive at least 5 years. That means within the first 5 years of starting a business, half of those businesses have failed. And only a third survive 10 years or more after that. So while it's really cool to start a business, it's kinda hard. So what are the hurdles to starting a new business? Well, they include finding capital or money to run the business, locating the proper consumer base, who's going to buy my stuff or service, properly locating or citing the business, and successfully advertising the business. Entrepreneurs may establish their business, what it's actually going to be, according to any of 3 types of organizational structures. And as Julie Woodward once said, there can be no one best way of originating a business. So it's up to the entrepreneur to decide what is the best way for me to legally establish my business. Go to the next slide. Two of the 3 ways we can legally start a business in the United States look similar. They are proprietorships and partnerships. A proprietorship is a form of business organization with one owner who takes all the risks and all the profits. What does a proprietorship look like? Here's Lucy Van Pelt. She put up her sign, the psychiatrist is in. It's easy for Lucy to start her business. She's ready to go and help the public. But there's some things that she should know. There is no legal distinction between the business and the entrepreneur operating the business. And the entrepreneur is personally responsible for all debts and can be sued directly for anything related to the business. So, if Charlie Brown sues her for something she did and wins, Lucy's personally on the hook. She's gonna have to pay Charlie Brown out of her own pocket. A partnership is a form of business organization with 2 or more owners who share the risks and the profits. The benefits of a partnership are that they're easy to form and they do not require the same legal requirements as a corporation, But a partnership also carries the same risk as a proprietorship. So if Stan and Seuss are partners in the Mystery Shack, they're going to face the same risk as Lucy. If they get sued as a partnership, both Stan and Seuss will be liable if anything bad happens to a consumer in their business. Go to the next slide. The other way we can form a business in the United States is by creating a corporation. A corporation is a form of business organization that is authorized by law to act as a legal entity regardless of the number of owners. It's as if the government treats the corporation almost like it's its own person. The owners of the corporation share the profits, and their liability is limited to the amount of their investment. Who would form a corporation? Well, let's look at one of the most famous corporations on earth, Acme Corporation. Get a load of what these guys make. Anvils, dynamite, Acme glue, Acme weights. Maybe these guys formed a corporation for a reason. Well, they did. It's because corporations act differently than proprietorships and partnerships. They register their existence with the Commonwealth of Virginia. We call that incorporation. They actually send documents to the State Corporation Commission, and then Virginia knows that the corporation exists. They pay taxes, they assume debts, and they assume the risk of being sued for their actions. So if Acme Corporation is going to make dehydrated boulders and earthquake pills, they assume that the corporation is going to get sued if somebody gets hurt by these products. And they assign something called shares. These are small pieces of the business, and they're assigned to shareholders. Those people own the business. They receive something called dividends. That's the profit paid to shareholders, and they are not liable for the corporation's actions. So if I owned a share of Acme Corporation, every time Acme Corporation made a profit, I'd get a little bit of that profit, and I would not get sued if some silly coyote had an Acme anvil land on top of it. Finally, corporations run themselves through a board of directors that meet to run the business, and they have a chief executive officer who runs the day-to-day operations of the business. So unlike a proprietorship and a partnership, a corporation is shielded from liability, but it's got a lot more things to do in order to become a business. That's it for this lecture, and I look forward to seeing you in class.